So, Kimberly, you're a sort of award-winning lawyer, and you never lost a case. Tell us a bit about lawfare in the United States.
Well, it's absolutely incredible. It's unprecedented what we're seeing in American political history and American legal history, quite frankly. The weaponization of every institution, all being deployed against President Trump. The punishment essentially is in the process. They're trying to wear him out. They're trying to suppress support, but it's actually backfiring, and it's having a really unique and incredible result and impact where we're raising more money than ever. We were just in London, did a big fundraiser for President Trump with expats there. $2.5 million US at the home of Holly and Nick Candy. And that was it was unbelievable to see, the support. We had Nigel Farage there, leader of the Form UK party, and we had Derek Chisoma, the heavyweight champ. And so it was just a great mix of people, a lot of our former ambassadors. And you just really see the international overwhelming support for President Trump. And the U.S., he's raising more money than ever. He's going up in the polls. People are really tired of him. We're seeing great inroads with the Latino, Hispanic community that I'm part of the African-American community, because people are really waking up. They're seeing that if they can do this to President Trump, to the 45th president of the United States, they can do it to anybody.
But he could be going to prison.
Well, he has a sentencing coming up, and it's no coincidence that it's right before, just a few days before our Republican National Convention. So this is just yet a further example that they want to try to imprison their political opponent, the primary, big candidate for president of the United States, so they don't have to face him in the ballot box. But, we really firmly believe the true verdict will be on Election Day on November 5th.
Should Joe Biden go to prison?
Well, if there should be an investigation as to how far up this went, that was this something directed, by Biden's DOJ, et cetera. You certainly saw people like deputies that were in his DOJ come in and prosecute the case of Alvin Bragg. And it's just for Alvin Bragg, and it's just unbelievable. So people look at it and I say, my God. And I take very seriously taking an oath, to uphold the law, for justice to be, neutral and applied equally and evenly. And you see President Trump, prosecuted for a crime he didn't commit that isn't a crime, that every other agency declined to even pursue in terms of any election law violation, et cetera, with the FEC. And no one decided to prosecute because there was no evidence there, and said they relied on a person of dubious distinction, Stormy Daniels, and a convicted felon, a convicted perjurer, Michael Cohen. So it just goes to show you that they wanted one outcome at any cost. The form was very biased. The judge is very biased, has given money, to Biden. The daughter raises money for Joe Biden and other Democrat liberal candidates. So I think it's obvious people have, their 2020 vision going right now. They see what they're trying to do to President Trump.
Doesn't the conviction of Hunter Biden prove that these these prosecutions aren't political? They're going after both sides with Trump and the president's son.
Well, I think it's a very good question, because at first blush, it appears like that. Oh, well, Hunter Biden got convicted. But those charges are merely just a distraction. The big charges that he should be convicted of is the influence peddling, violating issues of national security, foreign policy, tied in directly to the big guy, his father, et cetera. So these were just a lesser of all of them. So it feels like they gave you a taste of an appetizer compared to the entire buffet of crimes that have been committed by the Biden crime family.
Do you think that the DOJ or certain prosecutors could go after you, could go after your husband? Who's next?
Well, really anybody, right? Throw the dart up against the wall and see where it hits. It's been nonstop. They're trying to do generational damage, go after all of us with investigations, nonstop lawsuits, depositions, one after the next, subpoenas nonstop. So, but, we keep pushing forward, and, we're not that far out from the election. I think there's going to be a reckoning and a continued wave of support for President Trump. So I feel very optimistic. And as an attorney and former prosecutor, I really feel that justice delayed is not going to be justice denied. This will work its way through the appellate process, going all the way up to the United States Supreme Court. And we will see each one of these cases, I believe, turned over on appeal. I really do.
So do you think that other members of the Trump family could be prosecuted in this way?
Well, they can go after any of them, sure, because it shows that it doesn't matter if you have evidence or if there's any facts to apply to it. They'll find a biased jury pool that'll come back after God knows short period of time to say, okay, you're guilty of this, this, and this. I mean, they make up the stuff along the way. That's the problem. This isn't the justice system that we know in our country. And but President Trump is doing very well. We were just with him today and flew over to be here in Detroit. We're all speaking at the Turning Point conference, a tremendous amount of enthusiasm, young people in the country as well. So I'm really excited about it. I think that, I'm optimistic. I'm obviously upset because he's my great friend for 19 years, the president. But I was one of the first people to support him when I was at Fox to say, I know and believe that he was going to beat all the 16 candidates back for that 2016 election. So we'll see what happens. But, I just think that there is such support for him everywhere he goes that people really get it. I mean, I think they see the arbitrariness, the unfairness, the capricious way in which he has been, persecuted along the way. And I was not surprised to see that they were putting that sentencing right before the convention to try to put him in house arrest or something and take him off of the convention stage. But all the rest of us will be there and we'll be ready to connect with the American people and make the case for President Trump.
He seems to have an incredible amount of energy. He's going to be speaking tonight. He was speaking last night. He's been traveling all across the country, despite his conviction. So do you think that this conviction in any way has affected him or, has it sort of emotionally impacted him or his family? How, have you seen that impact?
Listen, I mean, obviously we don't like to see it. It's awful. Your heart goes out to him, but he's so strong that it sort of bounces back to you like, well, wait a second. We're just going to keep pushing through. We're a tough bunch and virtually impossible to break. Yeah, it's something. It's a New Yorker and it's a Trump attitude. But, he's he's in good spirits and he keeps going. He had a phenomenal turnout for his birthday and for Flag Day. So it's pretty exciting and he'll have a massive reception, here today. And, all of us have Eric and Laura, Don speaking today. I'm speaking today. President Trump speaking today. So I think it's going to be pretty great. We're excited about it. And I'm excited about Nigel Farage in the UK.
Well, I've got to ask about that as well. So
okay.
Obviously Nigel's launched, his new sort of leadership bid for the Reform UK
Reform
party.
UK.
Are you excited?
The polls say it's pulling ahead. It's ahead of the Tory party now.
Oh,
so
there's a campaign in the UK called Zero Seats, and people want the Conservative Party to get 0 seats. Mm-hmm. What do you think about that campaign? Do you support it?
I don't know enough about it, but I think it's pretty interesting. Though I think, I saw the enthusiasm and support for Nigel in person in London just like 3 days ago. So I think he's on to something. He was right about Brexit. People didn't believe that was going to happen. And I think this is like the next evolution, the next wave. Very similar to how this is the next evolution and wave for President Trump.
In the UK, we've had a huge amount of immigration in the last few years, particularly under this Conservative government. And Nigel's saying, look, they've betrayed us on this issue of immigration. They said they were going to reduce it, and they've done the exact opposite.
We've had that happen in the U.S. as well with members of the Conservative Party that they were going to do something about the lawless immigration, the massive influx of people coming in. We don't even know, who they are. And Biden, of course, supporting amnesty and just opening, the floodgates. But the problem is, you have to be very responsible as it relates to immigration. There's a right way to do it, a process that should be followed, like my father followed when he came from Ireland to the United States and applied the right way and became a U.S. citizen and enlisted in the United States Army. So I'm all about that process being followed so it's fair for everyone.
So do you feel that there's a comparison there between the Conservative Party in the UK who've made these promises and they've done the opposite?
Yeah.
And the kind of rhinos in the US?
I do. I think the parallels are profound. And I think you have to act responsibly. It's essentially the same type of thing. Border security, right, is national security. You have the right to be a sovereign and to make sure that you know who's coming in, what their background is, their true identity. And I say that as a prosecutor, too, because I was a prosecutor in San Francisco and Los Angeles. You need to know who you're dealing with, what their past crimes are, because God forbid you let somebody out because you don't know their true identity and they go out and reoffend, or you have a revolving door process in terms of crimes being committed. I mean, and don't you also have an obligation, to your country to make sure that you're already able to provide educational services and you're able to provide health insurance, et cetera, and make sure that your system and the infrastructure is properly intact to take in an influx. I mean, you see what, Viktor Orban is doing in Hungary. he has zero migrants because he's trying to protect the people of Hungary, and he's being penalized and fined for it, etc.
But isn't it the case that Trump didn't get the wall built in his first term? So he may have had his own kind of failures in terms of immigration. He's promising this wall, and it didn't happen.
Well, I think the bottom line is that as it relates to Trump, I mean, when you're really able to get a lot of things done versus just executive order is when in the United States you have a majority that's substantial, reliable in the House and the Senate. That's why this election is so important. We're campaigning all over to make sure we have the House and the Senate. Briefly, yes, he did. However, the problem is that if you don't have that with the continuity and you're getting it right when you first come in, it doesn't maintain, etc., you can just get a lot more done, especially if you have the right candidates and people in representing the movement, not people who get elected, betray the rhinos, and then they don't follow through on anything. They don't have the stomach for it. They want to go to the cool person party, and they don't stand up for their constituents and getting the right thing done. That's why we're going to make sure we get the right people in this time.
So you've got Trump and you've got Nigel trying to destroy the rhinos, basically.
I guess so. They're rhino hunting.
Thank you so much.
All right. What a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you.